Yeah, it's that time of the week again. It's time for the Ref Show here from youaretheref.com. Alan Biggs hosting the show with Keith Hackett and Mark Halsey. Dangerous challenges and diving, big topics at any stage of the season, and from last weekend, plenty for these guys to discuss. Keith, I know that you're concerned with a trend about the use of illegal hands and arms, and we'll come to that, often elbowing, let's be clear about that for short. But is diving on the increase, albeit, or decrease, should I say, albeit slightly? Just one big incident to talk about there. What do you think? Do you think we're seeing less of it?
Well, I think on the Mike Dean situation, it was a brilliant decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. To be in a good position and to make such a judgment. But if we just dwell on that particular scenario, we've got the other incident in Mike Dean's game.
This is Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0. The big game. Ander Herrera was cautioned right at the end, stoppage time. A big call that for diving. Let's be clear. That was a big call, wasn't it? Before we come on to Keith's point.
Yeah, it was, and as I say, once again, it's an excellent decision. And I think the way he's gone down has sold it to Mike to say, hey, listen, he's simulation, he's trying to deceive me. I think had he gone down in the normal way, we might have seen a different outcome. But we've got to say it was a great decision by Mike Dean. You know, one of our most consistent performers of the season. Very good, excellent referee, in my opinion.
Keith made the point there was an uncharacteristic error you felt in that game, the big one for the goal.
Yeah, I think there's no question that the goal, as far as I was concerned, in the build-up, John Terry fouled Falcao and Arman into the back of Falco. Down he goes. The foul should have been given. He didn't give it. We then saw a spectacular goal with a back heel. Make no mistake, it was a terrific goal. But that foul should have been pulled. There's another small point that I want to raise in that particular game, and that is Rooney was charged off the ball near the halfway line and was unhappy. And Dean himself did nothing in relation to the decision. He didn't make a call. But Rooney was searching Dean out to ask why not. And Dean, I thought, showed just the first sign of arrogance.
That's what he's often accused of. But you've said here, well, he's not that kind of guy.
Well, I think that if he treats players and gives them respect, they'll give him respect back. I thought on that one occasion in that game, it was an area that Mike needs to just review it. Have a look at the incident, and he could have had a discussion with Rooney without overcoming the point.
But, I mean, Keith's right. I mean, Mike's a no-nonsense referee, and that's the way he's built up his reputation, his respect over the years. But the only one that's watching the show, I think Keith's absolutely spot on with the free kick to Falcao. You know, you cannot come through from behind. You know, you've got to win that ball, you've got to come through the man. And it's so easy to give a free kick on the halfway line. No one complains.
So one big decision right, one big decision
but
wrong.
having said that, he's still got to run 50, 60 yards to score a goal. So we can't just solely blame it on that decision.
And Mike Dean's had plenty of praise here this season, and quite rightly so. So it's a constructive point you make. Anthony Taylor, Manchester City 2, West Ham 0. We're going to come on to the elbows now, Keith. I know you're concerned that this could become a rather dangerous trend again, repeatedly. It comes from time to time, doesn't it? This is Coyote of West Ham, only shown yellow for really quite a nasty challenge on David Silva, who was stretchered off.
Lack of inexperience here. Don't jump in with a yellow card. He could have viewed the outcome, waited, seen the outcome to the player, and then issued the red. This was a red card. Despite what people say, flailing arms, he's not running in a natural position. When you're running, your arm is close by your chest in that sense. This is way out. He knows what he's going to do. The outcome is you've got a player who then the game stopped for several minutes as he's taken the appropriate treatment of oxygen to recover because he's completely knocked out.
I mean, Keith's absolutely right. I mean, just coming in on that, I think at that sort of level, or any level, any young referee that's watching this show, that you just cannot afford to switch off. And I think the game was just mundane. It was going nowhere. It was quiet, wasn't it, what was going on? And people just it looked like an end-of-season fixture, to be fair. But I think Anthony switched off, and Keith's right.
Which has been rare recently, because
it should have been a red card. Yeah,
he's earned praise for you guys recently. Just one little query there. People always sort of raise this against referees about geography, and the slightest hint of any favouritism gets pounced on. He's a Manchester lad or nearby, isn't he?
It's just down the road, Altrincham, isn't it? A couple of miles away.
Yeah,
so-
amazing.
And
Well, it's not the first time, is it? I mean, he's done Manchester Club before. You know, I had an event on Friday that I attended, and it was interesting because they were aware that Mike Jones was going to Everton, and there were Everton supporters and Liverpool supporters in the audience, and the question they asked was, why can't Mike Dean referee Everton and Liverpool? And I sort of said, well, there's no reason, because they'd used Taylor and Jones as
Yeah,
example.
the precedents have been created, so you know
Yeah.
it almost destroys that attempt
Yeah, it does.
to keep referees
Yeah.
away from locations.
But now he lives in North Wales, so there's no reason why Mike Dean should now not referee Liverpool-Everton games. They have to use him on those games.
Fair point. Let's come on to Kevin Friend's game. This was Newcastle 1, Spurs 3. Certainly on RefCam there was some criticism of his overall performance. What did you make of it? Anything to pick up there, Mark?
Yeah, I think, I watched the game and I thought, to be fair, there wasn't too many sort of major talking points. Yes, people say that perhaps Colback could have had a second yellow card for a challenge, but it's just careless. He was going nowhere. Every foul's not a yellow card. But what did impress me with Kevin was the way he dealt with Colback, attempted foul Colback on Danny Rose. I thought he handled it absolutely superbly. Not like we saw we'll come on to Mike Jones's, the way he dealt with Ashley Barnes of Burnley. And I thought two different styles of management of exactly the same incident. So well done, Kevin Friend, on not cautioning Colback for an attempted foul. Played the advantage, came back, pulled him out, and stamped his authority on the game, let me know he's not going to accept that. And Colback's next challenge, he cautioned him. So well done, Kevin Friend.
Okay, and there's some line calls as well there that Andy Garrett, I think, played a part in a couple of the goals by recognising that there wasn't interference in play and allowing the play to continue on those. Can we just briefly interlude with the FA Cup semi-finals before we go on with the Premier League? Arsenal's 2-1 win over Reading. Bravo Goaltech again with the Reading equaliser, made it very, very clear. There were certainly some offside calls. Martin Atkinson was in charge, but there were a couple of offsides, I thought, there against Reading that were actually marginal.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
They were incorrect. And I think that we've seen a trend over recent games where the assistants are not getting these decisions right. It's a difficult law. It's a judgment call. Cameras on TV cameras don't always show it right because of the angles involved. But nonetheless, these are the types of decisions at that level that they've got to be getting right consistently.
And I think you're right, Keith. I've seen some offsides. We talk about John Brooks most probably on the Balotelli one yesterday, and at that level, you've got to get those right. And I remember watching John a couple of weeks ago down at Crystal Palace, Man City. Crystal Palace's first goal. It was offside. It was a yard offside. And why did he get it wrong? Because he was in the wrong position. Now, Adam Watt's got to get a look at this. He's got to get a hold of his assistant referees, and we've got to be getting these right at that level. And it's down to Adam Watt and the way he manages his assistant referees.
Well, does it?
the other semi-final, Balotelli given offside, could have been an equaliser for Liverpool, who lost 2-1 to Aston Villa.
I think the standard of lining generally has dropped since Paul Roger left. Adam took over. I think there appears to be less focus on these major decisions. I don't know how often they practice, but certainly with Paul Roger, they were often on the field doing the simulation of offside in order to keep them sharp. I think Paul at the same time.
Otherwise, Martin Atkinson and Michael Oliver did a pretty good job on those. Can I ask, who's getting the final?
Well, it has to be Mark. It's got to be Mark Clattenburg. There's no shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, the way Mark Clattenburg has refereed this season and the way he's refereed well for his country in Champions League, in Europe, the Super Cup final that he done, he's head and shoulders above everybody that's on that Premier League list.
I'm sure you agree, Keith, but will he get it?
Has to. There's no one else who's going to do it.
Well, I mean, just look at his performance. Paris Saint-Germain,
Barcelona
v Barcelona. It was outstanding. He's a terrific referee. If this is the FA's window to the world in terms of English football, then sure he should get it. But there's loads of politics involved, isn't
And
there?
it's about time Mr. Early started backing our number one referee, not trying to go against him all the time.
All right, well, underpinning that, Stoke 2, Southampton 1. I haven't got a single note of any controversy or anything contentious in that, unless you've got one for me. This was Mark Clattenburg in charge at the weekend. Lee Probert, Leicester City 2, Swansea 0. Probert getting regular games after returning to fitness. Certainly didn't affect the result, but was Jamie Vardy denied a penalty there
Yes.
that he should have had?
I thought he should have had a penalty. The truth is that the big shortfall on Lee Probert at the moment is he's stopping at 20 yards from the penalty area rather than actually going and penetrating the box to squeeze play and see that the incidents, he's actually falling short. Sometimes his game reading as well is leaving him exposed in terms of distance from ball, and he's then having to put a sprint in. Having said that, he's a capable referee, and the PGMOL need his services, and let's hope by getting more games his performances will improve.
It will do. It's obviously lack of match fitness, isn't it? And match practice at that level. You've got to be refereeing week in, week out at that level. You have to be. And, you know, I've seen referees, we're going on, I mean, I'm just going off here, but Neil Swarbrick, since he's made that error at Manchester City, sending off the wrong player, he's not been seen near a Premier League game since. And for me, you know, the way he came back and refereed that second half was testament to him, because I thought he was outstanding the second half. But why leave him out for, you know, the last, you had an international break. Now you've had two other sets of fixtures. He's off. He's been left out. No, he's refereed at Bristol City, so he needs to be. You know, these referees need to be refereeing week in, week out in the Premier League.
We'll look out for him. Jonathan Moss, very briefly. Crystal Palace 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. A case for saying perhaps that both sides were denied a penalty in that one. What do you think?
100%. I mean, when you look at the one for Crystal Palace, Crystal Palace, where Gardner jumps at Sahar without even looking at the ball. I mean, you're looking straight at it. The ball's, he's got his back to the ball and he just jumps straight at Sahar. So how he's not seen that as a penalty, I never know. And the one on the West Ham player as well, the West Brom player as well. I mean, that was an opinion on that one. But as I say, they're both opinions, and for me, I mean, I think the second one, the Crystal Palace one, was more than the West Brom.
I know, Keith, you've got a definite opinion on Mike Jones. You've stated it in your blog. He was in control of Everton's 1-0 win over Burnley. Ashley Barnes was sent off there for 2 yellows. Mark's got a point to raise on that. There were other incidents too.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the Ashley Barnes caution, 2 cautions. So I mean, you can't have any complaints about the second one, even though it was a careless, not a reckless challenge in my opinion. But it was the first yellow card. Now, for me, yes, he's tried to foul him. He's tried to catch him and stop him going forward. But it's about managing the game, managing the players, and there are incidents in games you can manage, and that was one of them. He could have played on, or he could have stopped the game, give the free kick, and then pulled him over and warned him in no uncertain terms, stamp his authority on a game that everybody know. He's seen that, he's dealing with it, and he's managing it, and he's given him a public rebuke. And as I spoke about Kevin Friend had exactly the same in his game and handled it how I'd like to see it handled. And I just think Mike Jones at the moment is lacking severe confidence. He's not refereed in the Premier League for 2 or 3 weeks. He's been in the Football League. His last game was the Newcastle-Arsenal game. He's refereed in the Football League. I think he's lacking severe lack of confidence. And I think he's refereeing to the evaluation system because he's not sure what a careless foul is, a reckless foul is, or excessive force.
A dangerous excessive force. Kevin Morales on George Boyd, Keith, only a yellow card.
Well, I've said it before and I'll repeat. Sadly, Mike Jones is not up to it. Now, I think that part of that is because he's lacking a coach, he's lacking an advisor, a one-to-one. He needs support. And I think through the refereeing, this is the criticism I have of the PGMOL. They've taken away the coach's role. There's no assessor. So he comes off the game. He's probably had a bit of heat in the tunnel, and he sits there thinking, oh my God. And then the following week, he's not out in the Premier League.
Just to top and tail this ref show, just talking points about foul outside the box, a penalty given in that Everton game. I think it was marginally outside the box. We've had keepers coming out of the box this weekend and handling and them staying on the field. What's your view on that?
Well, first of all, there's a misconception in the media that every time a goalkeeper handles outside the area, it's a red card offence. It is not. And in fact, it can be just a free kick.
This is De Gea, Manchester United, Chelsea.
Absolutely. In the case of De Gea, right, for me, that should have been a free kick, only if it had been seen. Now, in a way, the onus goes on the referee to see, and then if he's seen the handling, he's right to ask the assistant referee. Now, clearly, the assistant referee, if you look at TV, his vision is blocked. That's when the referee needs to come in and sort of support. They need to get those decisions right.
Interesting points.
But
Mark, very
to go
quickly,
off that, if you're in any doubt whatsoever, then you give nothing, and you cannot guess. And Keith's right. It's not. He come out. He has handled it. It's not a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity.
Great views as ever from these two. Great learning points for young referees. Do let us know on youaretheref.com if you've got any points or queries to make. Keith Hackett, Mark Halsey, thanks very much indeed. We'll see you again for another Ref Show next week. Bye.